Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Null. Nice to have you with us today. We begin our program with the latest on health and healing. And this is about all the new research showing a lot of benefit from making sure you get your vitamin D3 every day, specifically concerning your heart. A group of scientists conducted a study and simply asked this question: what happens when you have adequate amounts of vitamin D3, especially if you've had a heart attack? And what the results showed was really outstanding. That if you've had a heart attack, vitamin D3 helps reduce your chance of having a second one. That's a very good thing. Now, I would also add in there coenzyme Q10 or ubiquinol, L-carnitine, vitamin E, tocotrienols, cayenne, magnesium and calcium, potassium. Now, those are also important. And in my own clinical experience, over more than 58 years, I have found thousands of individuals have been able to improve all forms of heart conditions when they stay away from the trans fats, the saturated fats, exercise, do stress. That's the biggest one. And then take the right supplementation. But now, this particular study, the average age was 63, 630 participants, and they enrolled within a month of a heart attack. And they found that 87% of people followed the vitamin D protocols, 5,000 units a day. That's not a lot. I would break that up. I'd have 2,500 in the morning and 2,500 in the early evening. And what they found was there was a substantial decrease in heart attacks compared to the control. So that's very important. So one more thing is happening that can help us. Now, from McGill University up in Quebec, very important article. It was published in Science Text Daily, and it says, surprising brain exercise that reverses aging. Okay, well, I'm very interested in that. And it was for 10 weeks. And what they did was they showed brain chemistry similar to someone 10 years younger, meaning older adults, when they practiced this. And the results offer a lot of inspiration that we can slow down and reverse cognitive effects and improve our memory and reduce the risk of dementia without medication. This is the first human trial of its kind to demonstrate that online brain training can strengthen the brain's network involved in learning and memory. According to this study, older adults who used the game-like app Brain HQ for 10 weeks showed improved function in the brain. There's a chemical system in the brain that tends to decline with age and plays a central role in attention, memory, and decision-making. Well, Brain HQ features speed-based cognitive exercises that increase in difficulty as users improve. So that's great, because almost everything is just the opposite. We're at a time where everyone wants something fast and they want it shortcutted. They don't want to go through reading a whole book. And kind of interesting because I remember this way back 35 years ago, where my books were getting longer and longer. And my agent says, Gary, publishers are afraid to publish a book over 250, 300 pages. You're coming in 1,200 pages, 1,600 pages. I said, yes, because there's still a niche of people out there who really like getting definitive information, not just superficial information. And I'm known in my reputation for taking people on these learning workshops, meaning starting a discussion that may last 4 or 5 hours. I write the same way. So I said, so try to find publishers. Mind you, I had multiple bestsellers. In fact, in every Barnes & Noble in the country that I went to, they had a whole Gary Null section. Yeah, like 30, 35 books, because they were still selling. And nobody wanted to touch my biggest book, the longest book I've ever written for women only. Hey, Gary, the feminist movement is coming. They've moved on. And even though your friend and co-author, Barbara Seaman, is one of the founders of the second generation movement of feminism, it's passé. Really? Okay, yeah. And same thing with aging. Older people who are really aging tend not to buy these books because they've got dementia, memory loss. Short book, Gary write a 200-page book. I said, no, I still believe there's a market there. Well, there was. So I went to a small publisher and he published it. And then I took it on PBS. I had 3 monster hits in a row, the most successful 3 in PBS's history up to that moment. I don't know what's happened since, but I know that this raised him an awful lot of money, got him a lot of new viewers and members. And one of those was for women only. 75,000 books sold at $75. That's a monster hit. But again, you have to know what you're doing. And the same thing with the brain, same thing with aging. So if you start telling people, well, take it easy. After all, you're over 45. You're way past, at 40, you're past middle age. And that's what we were told. And they were all wrong. Every scientist, physician, advocate who said, take it easy, it should have been just the opposite. Start learning a new language, start learning a musical instrument, start learning classical music, because you're challenging yourself. I saw this in a running club. Initially, all the people coming to my running club on Sunday morning were in their 20s, teens. Old was 30, yeah? And you can see this for yourself. There are videos of this. If you go to GaryNull.com, go up there under Lifetime Achievements, under Athleticism, you'll see videos of me talking in the park. Howard Robbins was there. Peter Roth was there. Because we had so many people, we had to have multiple coaches. I mean, it looked like a race. We had 1,000 people. And there were over 90,000 people that showed up over a 50-year period to learn how to do a marathon. 32,000 actually did it. But others stayed around. But the people who are still racing today were the older ones, who decided, I like this. I'm able to see my abs. I have energy I didn't have. My muscles coming back. And so, but we push them. And when I say push them, I was just thinking of this yesterday when I was out doing my training, because I'm preparing for a championship race. I'm going to go see if I can't beat some records. In any case, I was thinking of some of those remarkable races, and all of the people who were in these talk about them. These are so memorable because they were so hard. And one of them was the Jersey Shore Marathon. And why someone chose to do it in February, where there was a rainstorm and you're right on the water and that wind keeps coming, and you see the people having to run with their legs far apart, because otherwise, boom, they were just knocking down all over the ground. It was a mess. Very few finished it. Everyone from my club, over 100, finished it. Some medaled. And why? Because we trained as if, what happens if there's one of those days where it's snowing? And so we train right in the middle of the winter. And people show up in shorts, running shorts, and just a windbreaker, gloves, nothing else. So their body absorbed that temperature differentiation, and that way they had a memory. I can handle this. At one point, for those who want to be elite athletes who were just regular people, they would have to, on Monday and Tuesday evenings, because there were too many to do it all in one. I had a big apartment, but we would run from the basement to the 25th floor. Okay, not easy to do. Now do it 25 times. The air is so thin that your throat is on fire, you can't breathe, can't make saliva, and it's hard. Your muscles are in pain. Now, when you've done that, now do it 25 flights, 25 times with a gallon of water in each hand. People want to know, gee, Gary, why is it every single race you and your athletes do, you win? Sam Skinner, Thelma Wilson, Joan Rowland, and two big races, memorable 10K, 10K relay race. Sam Skinner, Sid Howard, and myself. And we won 2 years in a row, competing against all the other 110, 20 clubs in New York. So from my own personal experience, if you take it too easy, make something too easy for someone, they're not going to do it and they're not going to benefit. It's called a junk exercise. If you ask someone to watch something, but then you don't ask them to be challenged, now go for a walk and talk to yourself out loud. What did I just learn? How can I apply that into my own life? And then they come back and say, gee, I didn't realize such and such. I didn't realize almost all these solutions are simple. Yeah, they are. Never confuse the complexity of a problem with the simplicity of its solution. In any case, that study right here, the Brain HQ, it gets you to go faster and faster and more challenging. A lot of people think that a crossword puzzle or reading are enough to keep the brain sharp. It's not true. You need to understand what truly promotes the neuroplasticity of the brain. Finally, if you are constipated, and a lot of people are, how about kiwis? Simple little fruit and mineral water. The mineral water in the kiwi may be the best way of providing relief, according to King's College London, an article published in Medical News Today. Almost 20% of all adults in the United States are constipated. Yeah. Poor quality of life, terrible diets. And they looked at 75 different clinical studies and saw what they had in common. There are many supplements and foods and remedies marketed to regulate bowel movement. And then they wanted to look, well, how many actually work and what is the best? And they recommended eating 2 to 3 kiwis daily for 4 weeks. There's nothing they can find that was more effective than increasing stool frequency. Why? Because kiwis are high in fiber, an enzyme called actinin, actinidin, which aids protein digestion, both in the stomach and the small intestine, and drinking mineral water. And they're suggesting about 1.5 liters of high mineral content water per day for 6 weeks. So it's high in magnesium and sulfate and works by drawing water into the intestine, softening the stools, making it easier to vacate. And magnesium oxide stood out as a non-food item that really helps remove constipation. I would suggest about 1,000 milligrams a day. I would add 2 things from my experience working with tens of thousands of people make a difference. 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C at the same time. That really opens you up. That's the latest on the health and healing. And by the way, you can go anytime, 24/7 to Gary Null YouTube. And we took a hiatus for about 7 months. Now, every day, Rilla Marconi, who's in the studio now, they're putting up all this stuff. And just after this break, I'm going to, if you're watching the whole show, I'm going to do a video presentation on a very important topic that impacts everyone in this audience, young and old, and especially young. So you don't want to miss it. All of that you can get for free up on Gary Null YouTube. And I asked Roland, how many people are going up there? He looks and he says, about 6 million. All right. And that's just, but then there was another channel for YouTube that I think it had 5 million. A lot of people are using it. And I don't have any promotion. I don't do any advertising, nothing. So it's just word of mouth. But you can also go to GaryNull.com and look at all the almost 1,000 articles now, the videos. It's all there.